The other day there was a little bit of a rumble in the media about some of the Democratic candidates were asked if they knew the name of the president of Mexico, and a couple did and a couple didn't. I won't go into that. Andrés Manuel López Obrador was elected president this time. Previously had been very far to the left, and he came in pledging to fight corruption, and he dismissed or weakened in every way all of the ways that the instruments by which the federal government might fight corruption. He has greatly weakened law enforcement in Mexico, which was already weak enough. The Mexican Supreme Court has basically ruled that marijuana prohibition in Mexico is unconstitutional. So it really seemed obvious that Andrés Manuel López Obrador might then necessarily move to legalize marijuana. But he has now announced that all he wants to do is medical, and that the emphasis now has to be on fighting drugs and corruption. In other words, he's going to keep the principal sources of income for the organized crime, that organizations that are now so powerful that, by the way, did you know that when you have guacamole, you are actually, and depending on where you are, subsidizing organized crime in Mexico? That isn't salsa on your guacamole, it's blood. Sorry about that, it's a bit over the top. This is how crazy it is getting now. And I love Mexico. Let me emphasize again and again. I have loved Mexico. I've been there many times since I was small, shortly after Montezuma left town. It really is terrible for me to see the destruction of Mexico that the United States has been so much a party of because of our drug war and thereby subsidizing the so-called cartels of Mexican gangs. All of this started with marijuana prohibition. And this has been a major source of corruption and has done the same thing to undermine the rule of law in Mexico as it has in the United States. The difference is that the rule of law in Mexico is beyond fragile. It's almost ephemeral. The idea that López Obrador is going to fight corruption, fight drugs, and then limit marijuana to medical purposes in Mexico. Wait a minute, you can go into a pharmacy in Mexico and buy almost anything. The idea, the damage that is done by the drug war, it is an international ideology that turns the world upside down, that works as well in Iran as it does in Mexico or the United States or any other country. It is a subsidy to organized crime. It is a threat to the public health. It is a threat to the public order. But this great revolutionary López Obrador is only going to, for God's sake, Jeff Sessions is now the president of Mexico? Well, they deserve one another.